The triangle of impermanence, suffering, and no self. The three characteristics of existence, or what we commonly called impermanence, suffering, and no self, is actually a concise explanation of the fact that all things are affected by three things. These three things are actually different angles on the same thing. Impermanence. Impermanence is just a big word for change. Everything in this world, for better or worse, exists in a state of change. People experience change all the time, beginning from the moment they were born until the moment they die. The eventual expiration of the body is actually just a big change moment. No body can last or stay the same forever. If that were the case, we would be the same size today as we were on the day we were born. We would be able to maintain our weight at 2 to 3 kilograms without any expansions or transformation. And we wouldn't be able to independently take care of ourselves for the rest of our lives. Looking at it in this way must have made everybody want to grow up and be happy with these natural adaptations and modifications. However, change depends on causes, not on anyone's willingness. Change doesn't request our permission. Therefore, change will lead us to aging, sickness, and in the end, death. These are the changes that are consistent with how everything goes. It's not just the living things with a mind that are subject to change, but change operates on forms and names on things, both living and non-living as well. They all change through the sequence of arising and eventually vanishing. Regardless of what they were originally, houses, buildings, or any of the infinite variety of objects, they all change. It's the force of change that pushes them into old age and dilapidation. Since everything changes, it means that all things in the world can't stay the same. This is where we meet suffering, because suffering must arise in any world of continuous change. Aging is inevitable. All of us start to age from the first day that we were born. No one has been able to stop aging, despite the fact that nowadays there are lots and lots of anti-aging products and technologies popping up all over the world. At best, these things can only slow aging down, since the massive force of change doesn't allow anything to remain the same. For instance, look at a house. Even if you just bought it brand new, and even if you didn't live in it, and while you were living elsewhere, you managed to keep all the doors and windows tightly shut, wrapped everything in plastic, you would find that it still gets old. Strangely, a house that no one lives in often seems to get older more quickly. That's because a house that has people living in it will constantly get taken care of, and has vibrant energy, unlike a house that is lifeless and largely abandoned. That is why we feel that a house with people in it doesn't age as quickly as the one that is neglected or deserted. But whatever the case, they all are subject to aging because they once began and started out new, and then deterioration began. Because nothing can stay the same. Whenever we are ill or feel some kind of pain in our body, that's called a physical feeling or sensation. It's fascinating to see that when there is an achy feeling, if we really look into the pain sensation, we'll be amazed by the fact that even though we don't do anything to relieve the pain, the level of pain continuously fluctuates. One minute the pain is intensifying, and the next minute the pain remits. The sensation is not stagnant or impermanent. It doesn't halt in one mode and thereby stay the same as in the previous moment. We must understand that change itself is a cause of suffering. If you remember when you were a child, you will recall that sometimes you caught a cold. Whenever the cold forced us to rest, We always wanted to get over it as quickly as possible so that we could go to play, go outside, go to school, or just have a good time. But the symptoms persisted and we never recovered as fast as we had hoped. Whether it got better or worse wholly depended on the physical conditions influencing the body. Recovery time has nothing to do with hope. With proper care and certain amount of time, the body recovered. And that led us to the understanding that we cannot control anything. Nothing in this world happens because we decide to do so. Things happen according to natural courses, and here is the inferential understanding concerning no self. There is no self that runs a show. From the no-self point of view, the state of being unable to control also demonstrates a state of no-self, or being empty of a person, or individual, a me or a him. Why is that? Lord Buddha has taught that all things in the world operate under the three characteristics of existence, which are impermanence, the state of suffering or being oppressed, and no-self. This means that anything, any conditions that arise in the world are all subject to incessant change. No conditions can stay the same, and they aren't under anyone's command. This means that anything, any existing state of anything is a result of changing underlying causes continuously arising and falling without anyone or any gods involved. The idea of having an I, there being a him or her, or having someone is a misconception, a misunderstanding, just as what the Lord Buddha has taught. Behold, O monks, you should see the world as empty, always be mindful. Get rid of the false view on self, which is holding on firmly to itself. By doing this, you will become light and relieved of worry and suffering. There is no greater happiness than letting go of the misconception of self, which allows one to arrive into the Dhamma. It is often said that the Buddha's Dhamma allows emptiness to arise, but empty doesn't mean there is a void, but rather being empty of a person, an individual, a me, a him, a her. Whoever is misled and tries to own something that is empty of substance, that person will surely suffer until his or her spiritual eyes are opened, and that so-called person finally sees things as they really are.